Hello everybody, how are you doing today? Okay, so I decided it is my duty as a paintress, thank you Expedition 33, that I teach you guys something about paper. Paper is probably the most important thing in watercolor that you'll ever have to mess with, whether you realize it or not. Like, I didn't know it. I started painting with watercolors, I think in 2018. I think it was 2018 because 2017 was a bad year. 2017 and 2019 were bad years for me, but 2018, it was alright. I had a steady period of insanity, but nothing went bad. No children were harmed during that time. Nor animals, nor human individuals, nor things that suspiciously look human but hit that uncanny valley thing or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so when I first started watercolor painting, I had the Arteza. Hold on. Is it here? It should be here because I don't think I moved it. Where is my... Oh, it's over. All the way over there. It's all the way over there. Oh, there's another tape. Oh, yeah. I had to go look for my Arteza, but I found my other thing of tape, which is like, hell yeah. Like, I got 3 more rolls. But it's okay. But this is my, the Arteza 36 piece color palette with huff puns. Not whole pans, because these are full pans, or whole pans, or, well, this is full pans. This is my Winsor Newton set, and this is my Arteza 36 piece. I got this back around 2018, 2019, and it's been discontinued, but I've had it this entire time. And these are kind of hard paints, also. They're very strange. I don't know what they mean to be hard. And as you can tell, yellow is the color that I use. I don't know why I use so much yellow. I have all these other colors, but the bright yellows I use. And I do it with all my palettes for some reason. I like bright yellow. I create the yellow sign in every picture, I reckon, but that's beside the point. But I've had this for forever. You can't even find this. I actually have it in my history of ordering on Amazon just so I don't lose it, because it has the name of the colors and stuff. Like, I know the colors by heart now, but back then I didn't. But yeah, you can't find this anymore. I actually put it in a different case because the case it came in did have Arteza, and I can't remember why I switched it. I think I just like the room, and it just wiggles. I think I just liked it. I like the sound, but I've had this forever. We're not using this stuff for this. We're using my Winsor Newton because I love this. I have plenty of these paints. I'm very limited on this, and it's just like, I want to use this for particular paintings. Like, I use it for portraits mainly. I'm not very good at portraits. Oh, and I also have my koi watercolors, and we have to use these specifically, right? Particularly these ones, because I have black watercolor paper. That's one of the papers I'm going to be talking about today. And I did have another palette, some Artist Loft glitter palette. I have no idea what I did with it, but it worked well with my Legion, and it makes me upset I don't know where it is. But the koi, I haven't tried it on it yet, but I assume the colors are bright enough. Also, it comes with like a little, like, a place where you can just boom, just like that. Have a gigantic palette, big well. It's very nice, very nice. Not trying to brag, but just showing you guys what we're using for the most part today. Okay, so I think I want to believe that I got one of those small 4x8 Arteza sketchbooks with the red ringlets on it and such. They're like this big and this wide. It's like half of a. It was like the size of this. It was like the size of this, but a little bit wider, right? And I started using that, and I got that with the Arteza palettes I originally showed you, the big one, right? And then I started running out of that paper, and then I tried out, what was it? I believe it was Artist Loft. Mom went, no. I went somewhere. I think I went to Michael's and got this, right? But Mom got me some art supplies and paper. She got me a Master's Choice or Master's Touch, which is what's here right now. I also messed with Artist Loft. And I remember going to Walmart to get Canson XL. I hate Canson. I hate Artist Loft. But Master's Choice is actually really good. Master's Choice is pulp paper that paints like arches. And there's a big difference there. So I have Artist Loft, which is a fully pulp and just frustrates. If I had kept painting with this, if this was my only option in my area, I probably wouldn't keep painting. Hi, baby. My kitty is here. Little Miss Measley walking up being like, will you give me treats? But girl, they're already on the floor. Go get them. There you go. Yeah, go away. Don't sit on my painting before I start painting. She likes doing that. She always got that, but that's beside the point. Okay, so Artist Loft, not my favorite. My least favorite. Very pulpy. You're going to see what I mean in a minute. You will. You will. Arteza. This is Arteza. It's a pulp paper as well. It's not bad though. I do like my Arteza. This notebook, actually, let me show you. This notebook came from a particular thing right here. It came from this one right here, and oh my god, my bad. And you can tell it's Arteza because it's got the little imprint, right? However, the next time I ordered my Arteza, it didn't have it. This book does not have it. This does not have the embedded impression that this one has, that I've had for a while. This one I've had since, well, I've been drawing in this one since, like, I think 2022 or 23, something like that. I'm not sure. But that has the thing. And I know that isn't actually an Arteza notebook, because I got that from the Arteza website, but it doesn't have the embedded emblem. And that makes me upset, because it's like, you couldn't do that? Because it feels like a lie. It feels like it's faking me out. But the notebook actually paints the exact same way. But, and I made you crooked again, my bad. Okay, so, Artist Loft, I don't like it. Arteza is pretty decent. Strathmore is different. Strathmore is like, I don't know if it's all of their paper, but I think a lot of their paper has 30% cotton in it, so it paints pretty decently. I actually like painting on this. Like, I've never messed with hot press, but it makes me feel like this is what hot press is like. But I'm absolutely wrong, so I'm gonna shut up. Master's Choice, like I said, paints like arches, which is good, and it's cheap. And it's not a bad choice if you don't have the money for arches, because alright, so like I was saying, Master's Choice is a really good substitute for arches if you don't have arch money. Because arch money is, it's like, I think it's like almost 23 for 12 now. Or at least it's getting there. But Master Choice, I think, isn't that much. You can get this one at Hobby Lobby, but you get this one at Michael's. At least in my local area, which I don't understand. Because the Hobby Lobby and the Michael's are like right next to each other. And if I need, oh my god, girl. And if I need my paints, I'll go to Michael's. But if I want paper that's worth painting on, that I think is worth it, I'll go to Hobby Lobby. But Hobby Lobby don't have much watercolors. Well, no, that's not true. I got this there, but that's it. There's a few other things, but nothing like... They don't have Winsor Newtons there, which I think is weird. Like, I don't know why they don't have a whole... Like, watercolor is just a wall in a section of a huge-ass craft store, and I'm just confused. Michael's has all sorts of stuff, but a lot of their papers kind of... Like, they got Strathmore there, they got Arches, of course, but their local is just... I wish they would get Master's Choice, because, like, I would buy it there. But that's me. I could probably order it offline somewhere, but that's just me. Anyway, KiwiHub. KiwiHub, that's what I'm calling it. I actually found this on Amazon. Do I have it out right now? I thought I did. Hold on. What are you doing, crazy? Why are you trying to sabotage this? What do you want from me, demon? My cat's being silly. Okay, this is it. I got this on Amazon. I think it's called KiwiHub. I'm not sure. It comes with 15 sheets, 100% cotton, which it is. I don't know what medium rough is, but whatever. But it is 100% cotton, which is cool. And it was like not even $10, and I get it like every few months or so. It's like I got like one of them subscription things with Amazon, but that's okay because I actually use that. I use that instead of my arches when I'm doing like regular paintings or whatever, and I use my arches for like serious shit. Arches is always serious shit because it costs too much money. I always have substitute papers to use for situations. You know, this is for portraits and shit I could sell. This is for funsies and make sure I know what I'm doing. This is when I'm broke. Like, this is definitely when I'm desperate. But never that. This is like if I wanted to be, if I had the choices of being a hooker or starving, I still wouldn't choose this. I'd choose anything else. Okay. But, yeah. But KiwiHub is, hi baby. KiwiHub is weird. It, when it's dry, when you're doing wet on dry. Wow, you were ridiculous. It paints like a, when you do wet on dry on this one, it paints kind of like, pulp paper. Almost. But when it's wet, when it's fully saturated, it'll paint like cotton. And it is the weirdest thing. I don't know how to explain it. It is Chinese. So there's a reason. I just don't know what that reason is. Everyone knows arches. Round of applause for being honorable mention. Whatever. Then we have the two weird ones that I own that I don't really use, but I still experiment on all the time. Yupo. Yupo, I think, is hot pressed and sleek as shit. In fact, I should probably get some rubbing alcohol to clean this off just in case, because you don't want oil on it when you're painting on it because it won't stay on there, right? Yupo is made of plastic, and you can use rubbing alcohol to remove anything, as long as it isn't too staining, but for the most part, it's almost like, it's the dry eraser of watercolors. That's what Yupo is. It's a dry eraser watercolors. Then we have Legion, which is a black watercolor paper. I actually don't know the name, but I know the company that makes it is Legion, and they make really cool watercolor paper. I actually can use white ink on this, and that's actually what I use my glitter set for, and that's why I'm a little bit miffed, but I got my koi, and it's got glittery shit, so we're still good to go. We still know what we're doing, so I'm at least a little bit confident. Okay, so we're going to have a dry run, a wet run, blends. I should have wrote this down. Let me write this down real quick. Okay, and we are back. Okay, I just got done fixing everything. Yeah, whatever, right? Because that is the most important thing, is that we know what we're doing. So, we're going to do dry, wet, blendings with wet side and dry side. Then we're going to be lifting, and then we're going to do some layering. That way you can see the difference. Well, damn, I thought I had recorded all that, and I didn't. I didn't even turn it on. My bad. Anyway, well, I'm already here. So I just did a dry run on all of these. I had to use my koi for my Legion, right, because it's barely visible, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and I already got the paper pre-wet for the next part, so we'll do that. And I think that's going to make a better difference anyway. Because wet paper always paints differently than dry paper. That's going to be a bitch to have to fix that, but that's okay. Sorry, the camera was off, but we'll get to see the rest of it, right? So we're going back in with my magenta. All the paper is pre-wet, so this is the Artist Loft wet paper. Now, as you can see, the color just kind of sits on top there. That's annoying. Arteza dries out rather quickly. This is a paper that dries out rather quickly, but the water's been sitting here. But it does better than this. You can see textures. You can see brush strokes. right? Well, let's add a little bit more. It's been sitting here for a minute. Literally. Yeah, you're still wet. This is gonna stay wet for a minute. Yupo always stays wet. This I'm not worried about either. It's just stretching. Okay. Some paint on my Strathmore. And look, it mainly stays where I put it. The more the paper is set up to be like watercolor paper. Master's Choice, which I think paints a lot like Arches. Like, and the paint will spread, but the difference is that it's hard to see it's hard to see the brush strokes with more pulpy paper, whereas paper that might be designed, even if it is pulp, to work like watercolor paper, or at least has some cotton in it, will show all sorts of different strokes and stuff. You can see the marks I did in here. This kinda, it's like I'm kind of disappointed in Arteza, but that's okay because I expected this. This, disgusting. These two make sense. KiwiHub. And you can see what I mean when I say it paints really different. It paints more like these two dry. But when it's wet, it acts more like a watercolor paper. Arches, of course. The Yupo, which is what's going to make it interesting. Oh, right. And then the Legion. Oh yeah, the paint's more active, so now it's definitely wanting to work. Huh. Nice. Now the Yupo is going to take forever to dry, and that's okay. We're going to go on to blending. But as these dry, you're going to see the effects of how each thing works. This is so far the best of the pulp paper, I think. The Strathmore is always fun, but I think this is the best because the paint actually sits where it's supposed to. Arches, I didn't give a fuck, but this actually keeps the paint where I put it at, which is interesting for pulp paper. So, blending. We're going to do two colors. Let us do magenta. We'll grab some of that on the artist Loft. Put that there, and we'll grab some turquoise, and we will blend up. Oh, it's nowhere near. You see how annoying that is? Isn't that extremely annoying? Isn't that extremely annoying? It's very annoying. So let's wet this and see what happens when we do that. There, huh? Grab the magenta. Okay, so the blend is done. Now, as you can see, this is a little bit more dried out. So this is not. That's probably gonna be an hour. This too. But look at all of the variations and stuff. Isn't it interesting? Looks like people walking in hoods or like nuns or something. That almost looks like a flower. That's actually kind of cute. But we can see as it's drying and finally clearing up how each stroke makes a difference. You can start to see the strokes in this one. That's good. I'm surprised by that. Not the wet one. Fuck your eyes on that one, but you can definitely see it here. A little bit more definition on the Arteza. I love Arteza because it's easy to paint with. It actually is not near as bad as it looks here. Like, this isn't even a scale thing. I just put it up here by random. I just wanted the pulp together and the whatevers together. So, 4 and 4. Wait. Is there 4? Yeah, like, there's all 8. I have 8 different types of paper. Okay, sorry. I confused myself. Pull that down. This one's kind of interesting with the blending. I wasn't expecting that one. I don't know why I started backwards on this, because it's like not tilted. Actually, it's tilted more this way, but it definitely made some interesting perspectives. This almost looks cauliflower right here. Now, as you can see, this is terrible. This I don't like. You'd have to be working with this all the time in order to know how this one operates. It's not bad paper. It's just not my cup of tea. The Arteza is cool. The blending, there are harsh lines, but it's okay because I painted funny for some reason. Halfway through, and then I thought about it. It's just like, wait, why am I painting from the bottom and the top? But I think because I was consciously thinking, you know, like, oh, these two colors will clash, and metal and muddy, and I don't want that. I think that's what I was going with. I shouldn't even done that, but it's okay. This one isn't too bad. You can definitely tell it all amalgamated together, even with the hard lines. It's not bad. This is just disrespectful. This is just like, look, why is that there? When was there any water here for you to do this? Right, kitty? Even she said something. Strathmore, I like the crackles. This is kind of funny. Once again, a little cauliflower. Don't know about that. Master's Touch, very smooth, especially once the water is here, right? But pretty smooth. My baby. Not too bad of a thing at all. Girl, your need for attention is crazy. You could probably hear my cat purring. No, I'm doing demonstrations, baby. You can be here where we're doing demonstrations. Good girl. Good girl. You're gonna just have to listen to her purr. My master's choice wasn't too bad. I went a little heavy with the water on the magenta, but that's okay. The KiwiHub, this is the interesting thing, right? This is where I was explaining. It looks a lot more like the pulp paper when it's dry, but then when it's wet, it gains more of its watercolor-esque nature. And even the Master's Touch, which is straight pulp, has that kind of nature. Girl, you're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. You're doing a lot. You can probably see your face. Anyway, the arches blends beautifully, very nicely. You can make out each color. Similar in this one too, which is how I knew, like, okay, this is actually pulp. This weird shit, ain't it? But it's beautiful. I like Yupo for that. Yupo is cool. Now, the interesting thing about Yupo, and I want to go ahead and say this before we get to the layering part, because it's going to be hard to see down here anyway, because it's at the bottom, and I don't know why I did that, but I did that, right? But with Yupo, you can only do maybe... I haven't experimented with it much, but I've heard people say, because of the way it is, you can only do, like, maybe a couple layers. Like, one layer and then another one on top of it, because it spreads so easy. I might paint on that because that looks interesting. I'm going to wait for that to dry and paint on that. That actually is looking more and more interesting. That looks like something sticking its face out. I didn't mess with Yupo. I got Yupo sheets. I just never fucks with it, but it looks really cool. Over on this, the Legion, of course, all these. This is an interesting shape. I'd almost think that this is a little rose right here. I don't know if you can see. But the blending was very nice, especially on the dry side. I'm surprised about that. Don't you get up on here. Thank you, ma'am. I was so scared she was going to get on this. She just wants attention. But yeah, all of them are like really nifty looking. Except for this one. This is disgusting. Okay, so now we're going to work on lifting. Now, a couple of these have lift and layer because the paper wasn't long enough. The KiwiHub and the Strathmore. Okay, so that's why they're all on one thing. So some sections are going to be off, and that's okay. Okay, so let us create our layers. We're just going to do it dry because I don't feel like waiting for it to be whatever. So we're just going to paint it on there. Actually, let me add more paint to this. Or water, not paint. There's already paint here. I'm just talking to myself and trying to sound intelligent. It's not working, so woof. Okay, we're going to let them dry a little bit. Now we're going to create a patch for a layer. So we're going to take our turquoise and my yellow, because I'm obsessed with yellow. Let that sit there for a minute. Boom, put down a layer of turquoise. It doesn't need to be that thick. We're going to start lifting on the certain colors to see how it works. And this is where I feel like pulp paper is superior to cotton paper, and I'm going to show you. So Artist Loft. All you do is wet your brush right out a little bit and use it to do this. You see how easy that is to lift? So there we go with that. And as you can see, the pulp paper, somewhat this though, cleans up almost completely. Most of my paints are actually very staining. I use a great deal of staining paints, and I didn't know they were staining until after a while when I found out that's important. And it was just like, oh well, no wonder shit don't come up. I think my magenta's like the only one that has yet to betray me in that sense. You know what I mean? Thank you, Phil. It's the only one who hasn't messed me up so far. But as we can see, the certain ones, like the Yupo and the Legion black watercolor paper, neither of them had any issue lifting. The art, I was actually surprised, like especially with the center, but that's where most of the water went to, but it lifted very nicely. And mind you, this isn't all the way dry. You don't want to try to lift when it's dry. You want to lift when it's somewhat still wettish, damp, and then lift it up. That's why I painted it down, and we went to this, and that gave it plenty of time to at least settle into the paper, which is the most important thing here. And lifting is great in reverse to negative painting, which is what the layering is going to show. Because I could easily take my brush, even after it's dried a little bit, especially on this pulp paper, and start making marks and shit. However, that isn't as simple on paper that is cotton, because after it dries for so long, yeah, you're going to see the mark, but it's not going to be as pronounced as this. and the water will spread places. Not as light as you could see, but also a little bit more controlled because the cotton holds the paper in. Where I made the mark here, it's starting to get fatter and fatter, you see, because the water's spreading out, because it is sitting on the surface. The watercolor paper, which is made of cotton, actually absorbs the pigment into it, which causes the lifting to be a little bit more difficult. You can see that I lifted this. I put water right here and keep trying to lift it as much. Oh, I just fucked that up. I keep trying to lift it to be as white as here, but by the time it dries, it's just going to be darker than right here, because this was a little bit more wetter than this over here, so the pigment's still going to stay a little bit more. It's kind of like dyeing your hair red and then being shocked that the pigment's still in your fucking hair and you're trying to go blonde. Good luck with that. Now the pulp paper, I can probably go ahead and start the layering on, but I'm going to wait a little bit longer for this Yupo. Actually, I could probably layer on this top one. And I'm looking at this top one like that. Actually, some of these, the way that they're coming out, I could probably paint something onto them and they'd be really cool looking. Oh, fuck boy. That looks like it could easily be a dragon monster in the background, you know. This looks like a bunch of like hooded dudes to me. I don't know. Yupo is very interesting, but I've never messed with it too much. I find it cool, but I'm also like, I think I got this at Hobby Lobby too. Actually, I think I got this and this at Hobby Lobby, and I got this. So this, and this all came from Hobby Lobby. This came from Amazon. The rest came. Well, this came from Amazon too. So this one, Arteza and KiwiHub came from Amazon. Strathmore Artist Loft and my arches can come off of Amazon, but I usually get it at Michael's. And then the Legion, Yupo, and Master's Touch all come from Hobby Lobby. So I have like 3 or 4 different places I get my paper from collectively. Alright, so let's go to the last, which is the layering. Yay. I'm excited. Are you excited? I'm excited. Let's spray our yellow again. It's already saturated, but I want to make sure there's enough because I want it to be thick. Like half as thick as a bowl of oatmeal or your mom. One of that kind of thick. So now we can see the differences in all of these. Right? So, this one right here. And technically they're not dry yet. Should I wait for them to dry to make an assumption? Yupo's gonna take forever. This is all still wet. I'm just letting y'all know. This is like, oh, that's still wet. Ah, ooh. 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 I didn't know you could, oh, that's interesting. You can do like a little scratch off thing with the Yupo. Huh. Oh, that's still wet. That's interesting to learn. So you can make little, scratch little textures into that. I was just touching it. I didn't even know you could do that with it. That's interesting. Can you paint over that? Well, fuck it. I'm sorry. I'm like never messed with Yupo too much, but ooh, ooh, you can scratch stuff and ooh, interesting. Yupo is such an interesting medium. Like, I'm very scared to mess with it, but now I want to mess with it because it's just like, what else can I do on this? Okay, Yupo is cool for layering, but I understand why they say only 1 or 2 layers now. Because it'll fuck itself up, but that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, let me move this a little bit higher so we can see everything. Is everything in frame? Yes, okay. So as we can see with the lifting ones, Just right here, dear. Did it, and it, right. The liftings are all, well, not just, I mean the layering, my bad. Terrible of me, terrible. So, the layering, Artist Loft, you can see it, but it's like, blended right into everything, which makes sense. You can still see some of the yellow though, but it's just weird looking. Arteza, not too bad. You can see the yellow, and then as it goes out, because that's what I was doing, I was trying to make it like kind of like thick and watered out. Well, not really watered out, just let the paint dry off of the brush and shit, or run out of it. This one, the Strathmore, actually isn't too bad. You can almost see the yellow the entire way through. Master's Touch, you can see the yellow all the way through, and some blending. KiwiHub is weird. We can definitely see where it's blending, but it's also yellowish, and it's still holding the yellow pretty well. I'm pretty sure it's going to come out green once this is completely dry, because it's not dry yet. Arches, gorgeous. Very yellow at the top, trailed off to lovely green. Yupo did what it wanted to do, but I'm not mad. I am not mad in the slightest. It looks really fucking rad, actually. And the Legion, even with like it just being Winsor Newton, I should have used like the same type of paint, but the Winsor Newton, it still shows up pretty fucking well. Let me go ahead and grab the yellow off of here, because there is a bright yellow on this palette. I don't want to cheat. So. It shows. Luckily, my coins are nice and bright. But there's the differences with all the paper. And what we see more as everything dries and such. But we can pretty much make out what exactly the paper is doing in itself. So as you can see with all this paper, everything paints completely differently. And that's the number one thing to remember in all this. Like I say, Arteza is my fancy paper and it's really expensive. Yupo is cool shit. I need to fucks with this more because I didn't realize I would like it so much. That right there, like... Ooh. Not gonna lie, the Yupo's really winning me over right now. Sorry, I got lost in the sauce. This is like, what else can I do with this? My bad. The Yupo plays fun. The Yupo is fun to play with. And what I was talking about with the Yupo before is that you can actually go and use rubbing alcohol to clean this up. It might not clean up very well because I got blue right here. At the same time, though, I'm kind of not caring because this is a lot of fun. I didn't realize I'd like the Yupo. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it's interesting. Anyway, most of the pulp paper, like I said, pulp paper is a little bit more difficult to use than the cotton papers, right? Because the cotton papers, with the exception of Yupo, because it's plastic, but the cotton papers, even Strathmore, gives the person who's painting the ability to learn how their paints operate, how they work, how they can mess with them, what the paper, how it'll react to the paper, right? Then, when it comes to pulp paper, that I feel is more for like people who could do professional artwork on shit paper, right? Because technically, pulp paper is a little bit more inexpensive because it doesn't have cotton. Cotton is a resource that takes a lot of effort to put together, but not really. This is what they tell us, selling the shit. But with pulp paper, I find that it's actually more difficult to paint on that because the paint sits on top of the paper instead of being absorbed into the paper. So with this, it's a little bit more controlled. You can see what you're doing. And with pulp paper, you get to experiment more because the paint's going to do a lot more because the water isn't getting absorbed. It's just on there. So you can create all sorts of shit. Like, not nearly as extreme as the Yupo, but I feel like the Yupo would be great for, like, seeing what the watercolor can do with no control. And seeing if you can control it. This, it requires a lot more control, a lot more patience. And the actual cotton paper, gives you more control and more understanding of what your paints can do. And it's always valuable. Like, I have 8 different types of paper. I just don't use this one because it drives me nuts. I don't use it. Nope. I do not like the Artist Loft. I don't like the Artist Loft, but I keep it and give it to other people to use. So they don't use the paper I actually like using. It's not my fault. But I do tell people when you use it, it's not going to paint the right way. It's going to paint very, very differently, but it's going to work for you. Another thing to keep in mind is to know the timing of when the water is going to run on your paper, because cotton paper can hold water, like, unlike Yupo, which holds it forever. But cotton paper can hold water for a long time. Pulp paper dries out very quickly, which also makes it somewhat difficult for people who are learning, right? And what you understand is with the pulp paper, you would definitely need to know more about what you're doing with that paper, whereas with the arches and all that, it gives a little bit more leniency. You can sit there and mess with the paint a little bit longer. I tend to be more impatient. I stick to more pulp papers and papers that dry a lot quicker. Like, I love arches. Arches is for expertise, but I find myself taking way longer to finish a painting on arches if I'm trying to go and do something like super, super decent or super important, or I'm doing it for somebody because, like, they either paid me or I want to do something nice. Like, I am very weird about it. I can paint very quickly, but I am very impatient when it comes to certain paper. And pulp paper works for me because it'll dry very quickly. However, the issue with drying very quickly is that it causes a lot more harder lines, whereas with the cotton paper, the longer it's wet, the more everything blends in. And that could be an issue if you're somebody who likes crispy shit or details. Don't know who you are, but you'll know it. And, you know, that's another thing to keep in mind. Your paints really don't matter. I mean, look, they do because they're brighteners, and sometimes they come out chalky, and some people don't like that for their looks or whatever, but in general, like, as long as it paints, that's the important thing. I do not know how my process monitor ended up on that side of my panel. I'm gonna fix that. But that's beside the point. Let me know if you find this video interesting or helpful, because I don't feel like people pull out all of their collections of paper and actually demonstrate the differences. Because I feel like if people actually show the differences between all their papers, because I know I'm not the only one who has a collection that I do not even share anywhere close to the same country, except maybe China, because either China, Italy, England, or France is usually where most art supplies come from, it seems like. But normally China or Mexico for if it's Prismacolor. I don't the Prismacolor thing. That whole thing weirds me out, which is just like, I'm glad I use color pencils, but I didn't like them too much. But that's because I didn't know how to use them. But that's just me. But I'm hoping this will help someone out, so you can figure out what you would look like, what you would look at. I might leave links to each of the papers, probably through Amazon, of course. So you can look and see what it is. One thing to pay attention to when you're choosing paper is to see if it says, if it's pulp paper, or better yet, see if it's got, like, cotton on it, like 100% cotton, like the KiwiHub, I call it, paper does, or Arches, or even Legion. Strathmore really doesn't say whether the paper has cotton in it or not. I actually had to go and research that and found out there's a potential that some of their paper does have 30% cotton in it. And I'm not sure if this is one of these papers. But I reckon it is, because it blends just like it. It looks nicely like it, right? So that's something to keep in mind. And these are mostly dry now. So you can see how the layer actually showed up a little bit better. Like, you can see how the S's and shit have actually shown up now that it's a little bit more. Yeah, that's definitely dry. That's pulp paper. This probably isn't dry yet. That's pretty close to dry, but you can still see the yellow and the blue mixing together. This is just rad as shit. This is rad as shit. And still wet. But we have all of that, right? So I hope this video helps you out. I hope I didn't screw it up too much. But that's okay. Now I have something to do. Also, if you don't mind Yupo, I'm going to be playing with that for a minute. But yeah. There we go. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good day. And please go away. Hi, baby girl. Yeah? Are you helping? Are we helping here? You could be a blooper. How's that sound? You want to be a blooper?